And the third component of self-compassion is mindfulness. So it's kind of bringing all these things together that we've been talking about. It's bringing awareness to what are those needs. It's observing those needs in yourself and becoming aware and mindful of them. I mentioned that my current therapist was the one that introduced me to the book When Things Fall Apart. So when I first started going through this big life change a few years ago, I first started the long process of my breakup. I went to a therapist for the first time ever. It wasn't until my early 30s that I had ever gone to a therapist. So I originally went to a couples counselor. My ex-partner and I, we would see this counselor together as a couple, and then we would also see her in individual sessions. And that experience was okay. I think finding a therapist is like any other relationship. There's going to be people that you connect with and that work well with you, but you might not find the right person immediately. So this first therapist was good in certain ways, but not good for me in other certain ways. There's lots of different, therapy styles, psychology, psychiatry styles and techniques and things. And the first therapist, to me, it felt sometimes like it was that desire to like diagnose, right? Like trying to understand, to like diagnose what is wrong. Like what can we do to fix that? Like she would take notes. But then when I came to the realization that therapist, the type of therapy we were doing wasn't working for me. Like it wasn't really helping me move to the next level. It helped to a certain point, and then I got to the point where I needed to move past that and it just wasn't working. I got a recommendation from a friend of mine from my current therapist. So my current therapist, immediately, the way that he approaches things felt different. He's very interested in Buddhist practices. He recommended the Pema Chodron book immediately. And he brings this different kind of mindfulness to our sessions. So one of the things that I noticed immediately is he does a lot of observing of my body language. So he will notice things that like I'm not even noticing because I'm all up in my head, right? I'm very intellectually centered. I think a lot. I have a lot of anxiety. I like think about the future and I like tell myself like all this negative self-talk. And he would listen to me and watch me and observe me. And instead of listening to the words coming out of my mouth, which he also does, but he would also notice the way that my physical body would change, right? He would notice if I was sort of hunching in or like, protecting a part of myself physically, like closed off or whatever. He would notice that. And he would ask me open-ended questions to help me start to notice and become more mindful of that myself. So part of this mindfulness is really about curiosity and observation, asking certain types of questions of yourself or asking certain types of questions of others. And we'll talk more about curiosity in a bit.